What up, what up? This your boy Stevie Franks.
Sunshine B.
Fallon.
And this is the More For You podcast. Bringing more for you because you deserve more, you heard?
Yeah, so today we have a special guest in the building. He is an entertainment lawyer. Please help me welcome Jason Berger.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you
Hand
for being
claps.
here. I appreciate you. Yeah, so today we got the Fallon 5.
Right, and it's going to be a special edition since it's Black History Month, so it's the February 5. So just 5 Black History facts for everybody. So Claudette Calvin was actually the first person to give up her seat on the bus, and it wasn't really widely publicized because she was a teenager when she did it, and the people that were at the head of the movement felt like it would be better to have an adult do it, so more relatable. So Rosa Parks was the person who kind of represented that movement.
Wow.
However,
I didn't know that.
right, I didn't know that either. However, she, Claudette Calvin was part of a court case that overturned segregation on buses in Alabama. So she was responsible for that.
Okay, Claudette.
No, she was hating on Rosa. She was mad. She was like, what? Why she get to be in the book?
And she's
Stole
still,
her
she's still
thunder.
Yeah,
alive.
for
She's
real.
still alive?
Yeah, she's still alive.
Oh
She
my
was like
goodness.
15 when she did that. So
okay.
yeah.
Wow.
See, still though,
Yeah.
I've been mad. I'm like,
Yeah.
where,
Shouldn't
where
that
my,
be in
my
the
spot?
history
Yeah,
book
exactly.
though when the story is
Yeah.
told?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where's my
That's
spot
a big
at?
deal. She definitely did it first.
I'd have been hot.
Yeah, you dug up that fact.
Then we have like a former slave. His name was Onesimus. He was brought over from Africa to Massachusetts, and he was actually the first person to teach about inoculation. So he taught his slave master that, back in Africa where he was from, they would take material from the infected person and actually scratch it into a normal person's skin to expose them to whatever the virus was. And they actually tried this in Boston. There was like a smallpox outbreak, and they tried it, and they found that it actually dropped the death rate down to only 2% as opposed to basically everybody who's dying.
Wow,
So,
okay.
yeah.
Wow.
I didn't
So
know
I don't
that.
know, because people talk about vaccinations a lot,
yeah.
so I don't know, but
Yeah.
they're saying it came from this guy. So
Okay, wow. That's dope.
then we real quick, Allensworth was the first all-black township in California, and it was established in 1908, and basically was just all black people, but it was supposed to be a place that was free of any prejudice.
Say, what was it again?
Allensworth, and that was in California,
Okay.
Okay.
What year was that?
1908.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the first one.
Okay.
I know there
That's
was some
dope.
after that, some like couple societies, but that was the first one.
Wow.
Me, because I'm a foodie, I like to eat all the time, especially junk food. Wally Amos, he was actually the guy who came up with the famous Amos chocolate chip cookies. So I was like, oh yeah, I got
Wally, what's his name?
Wally Amos.
Wow.
He was a businessman, but he liked to cook. So one day he was cooking and he dropped like chocolate into
You know what's
the
crazy?
cookies.
I think I read about that this
Yeah.
week. Wally
Yeah.
Amos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I did read about that. Yeah.
Didn't they have his face on the cookies? I could have swore there was
You know
like
what?
black
I don't
man on
know.
the Amos cookies.
Doesn't it look like grayed out though? So I don't think
That's
I ever
famous
really,
Amos, right?
Yeah, but it was grayed
They
out.
trying to play
though.
with his tone.
Right, so I couldn't really tell.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Oh,
Isn't
no,
it?
I found out. I don't know his name, but I found out a black man invented the potato chip.
That's a fact.
Word is
Yeah, I
born.
think I heard
Yeah,
that.
I just found out about that this week.
What was
That's
his name,
great.
you know?
I have no idea. I can't
All right,
remember.
I think he
Google
made
that.
it too
Frito.
thin or something.
Right.
Frito.
Or Lay. He had to be one of them guys, right?
Probably. That's probably his nickname or something. Probably called him at a Yerp Frito. That's probably what they called him.
Then we had Shirley Chisholm. I'm sure people heard her name, but what I didn't know is that she survived 3 assassination attempts.
Go ahead, Shirley.
Yeah, when she put in, she was trying to get a nomination for president in 1972.
Okay, I remember
and they
that.
tried to kill my girl 3 times.
What?
And she made it all 3 times.
She got mean
So,
ducking skills.
Women's
Wow.
intuition, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
She knew something was coming.
Sheesh.
Ooh, no weapon formed against
So
her.
yeah, that was the February 5 for Black History Month. So happy Black History Month to everybody.
For
That
real.
is
Right.
super dope. Wow. Yes. So how's your Black History Month going so far?
You know, it's
Are you
going.
learning more?
I'm learning a lot. right? I see it all over Instagram. Oh, and shout outs to Google, right? Because Google did that dope commercial. Did you guys see that
Really cool.
advertisement?
No.
Oh,
What was
my
it?
gosh. Jason, did you see it?
I think so.
Oh my, it was so nice. So it was like a commercial, and they kind of went throughout history and showed everything that black people
I did see that. I did see that. Yep, I did see
and
that. I was
like
dope.
people were really moved by on social media. People were like
Wow.
crying about.
I missed that.
You have to see it.
Aw.
Google the Google commercial.
There you go.
Speaking
Wow.
of black impact, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant, man.
Oh,
You know what I'm
yes.
saying?
Definitely.
For
That
real.
was
That was tough.
painful.
Yeah.
I was in
Word,
LA
man.
for the Grammys, the last day,
Oh, wow.
the award show, and it was like
Oh, yeah.
everybody's getting dressed and ready
Yeah.
for a big day, and then that news hit. So
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh
it
my
really
gosh.
changed everybody's outlook. The
Wow.
whole city, not even just
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
Of course.
in the music space going to the shows.
Seriously,
course.
had to.
Crazy.
Of course.
They had like tons of stuff like at the Staples Center.
Oh man.
They counted it. They said they had like 600 basketballs. So they're like donating everything.
It reminded me a lot of 9/11 because
Yeah.
if you guys remember when that happened, everybody's just glued to their television.
Yeah.
Nobody knew. And it was the same deal because first the news was that he was killed, and then it was one of his kids,
Yeah.
and then it was the whole family,
Yeah.
and then it was Rick Fox.
so
It was,
crazy.
so,
Yeah, it was a lot.
all
so
over
we
the
were
place.
literally in this Airbnb, like on flipping stations.
Yeah.
I'm on my
Right.
phone
What's
on this
happening?
one. My
Right.
buddy's on, just trying to figure it all
Yeah.
out.
Yeah,
I
that
couldn't
was
believe
crazy.
it. I
I
thought it
was
was a lie.
driving and I literally like
crazy.
slowed down
Yeah.
and was like, "Oh my goodness! Like what?"
I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to sound like a crazy person, but when I saw it on Instagram, I like almost immediately, like once I realized, like I scrolled through and I saw like, oh, this is everywhere. So once I was convinced that it was true, I like started crying like a baby.
Yeah, I was bawling.
I felt really.
Isn't it crazy how you
hurt.
don't know some like these kind
Yeah.
of people personally,
course.
but you feel like you know them so well
Yeah.
because
We grew
of
up
I mean
watching
just
watching them, yeah.
watching how many games of his, but it's even beyond that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because you see the charitable work he does.
Yes.
Right.
You see how he's raised a family. You
Right.
see his family going through stuff just like
Yeah.
everybody's
Yeah.
family
Yeah.
goes
Yeah.
through, but we kind of that's not publicized or
Right,
televised.
Right. I'm
Right.
I'm
And
also
the-
felt for the wife more than
course.
anything.
Yeah, because
Like, it
your
was just like,
daughter-
damn.
And
But you
your
see
husband.
them because their
And
life
your
is in the
husband.
public, so you kind of
Right.
feel this attachment
Yes.
without knowing them.
Right,
And it
exactly.
hits,
Right.
you know, it hits a little
Yeah.
harder.
Yeah.
I just saw him. I think he was at a game, right? I think everybody saw he was at a
Right.
game with his daughter,
Yeah.
and they were all like
Yes.
Right, we're
talking about
LeBron,
basketball.
yeah.
Right.
So it was just crazy.
So I wonder, like, with the passing of Kobe, I feel like it's really energized the community in a way to do bigger things in their life. Like, do you guys feel like it's changed anything for you? Like, do you feel like you've done anything different since?
I feel like it's just going to keep pushing people to keep moving forward. I mean, every time, if you realize every time an influential person passes, they start bringing out clips of every single last thing that they've done that's been an impact upon every, mainly
Right.
our community, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think it pushes people to be better. They did the same thing when Nipsey Hussle died.
Facts.
So
Yes.
it's like,
Facts.
you know what I mean? You see the impact and it makes people want to be more motivated to be their best self. And
Yes.
I think that's the greatest impact
I think
anytime they pass.
For me personally, it puts shit in perspective. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you
No,
good.
Are we
good?
Nah, you
No,
good,
you're
bro.
good.
You
Alright.
straight, bro.
It puts shit in perspective and makes me realize how much I take for granted on a daily basis. I don't beat myself up for it because, you know, I don't
You're human.
spend as much time with my kids because I'm out busting my ass so they can have the best life they can.
Yeah.
So it's
Right.
not like I'm this terrible dad and that
Right.
makes me think or harp
Right.
on it.
Right,
It's just
right.
like you don't do it enough. You
Right.
know what I mean? It's like a
Yeah.
lot of times on a Sunday after a long week, I'll say, you know what, I'm just going to chill and watch the football game for 2 hours when it's things like that that make me realize, you know what, get up, take her somewhere, do something
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
just you.
for
You know what I
real.
mean?
Right.
More, a little more special than kind of
Yeah.
sit
I
on
think
the
that's
couch.
That's a struggle
with
with
kids in
everybody.
particular.
Yeah, definitely.
When you're a parent, I think that's always a struggle, and then you have that
right.
parent guilt.
Yeah.
But
Right.
when stuff like that does happen, I think for me, when anybody passes that I'm familiar with, I feel this sense of urgency to spend more time with the family, spend more time with the homies,
Right.
and really just try to do more. Because, like, I think...
I think in my mind, get your shit together. This could be like...
Exactly.
You know, your time is up.
Yeah,
exactly. Get at it.
And leave something for someone. So that's how I feel. Like, just get your stuff together.
Right, yeah. For me, definitely, I would definitely go with that sense of urgency, and then also trying to be present at the same time. Like, finding that middle balance. Like, you want to get everything done because you do want to leave a legacy for your children, but then at the same time, you want to be in the moment with them. You know what I mean? Like you were saying, to actually take time to do stuff with them and whatnot. It's just really
I'm so
crazy.
bad at that. It just, in life in general, putting
understand.
aside, like, what makes you think about it. It's just like, live, enjoy this for a minute. I'm always, all right,
social
get this
media.
done, on to the next. And
It's hard because I find that even with myself, I'll be an autopilot. And you don't even know, like, that stuff will pass you by.
It's a great way to explain it.
Yes,
It's a great way to explain
You know, like,
it.
next thing you wake up, it's Sunday, then it's Sunday again. Like, whoa, that week went by so fast. And then, you know, next time you got another birthday coming. Like, my grandmother, she just turned 90.
Wow.
So
Happy birthday.
Great.
And I haven't been over there to see her because I've just been on go. And it's just... I know. I was like, damn, man.
You gotta get over there.
Yeah.
Like, nah, for real. Like, you
That's
know.
a blessing. 90. You gotta get some of that wisdom.
Is she close to you? Does she live close to you?
My grandma basically raised me.
That's great.
Yeah, nah, she around the corner.
Yeah, because you gotta go see her then, because my great grandma is approaching 90 and she's in Trinidad, and I swear if I could see her all the time, I would go. Like, get the wisdom that you can.
Oh yeah, no, I talk to my grandmother often.
That's
you know,
good.
but I
That's
I still feel like I need to do more.
Yeah,
because you know you just never know. You know what I mean?
Always.
So.
Yeah.
Do you find social media is getting in the way? You seem like Sunshine. You're good, like with kind of staying off, like because you always say, "Oh, I didn't see that." It seems like you kind of have a good balance with it.
Yeah, so that's because I promote a lot of events and whatnot, and also myself, my brand, and just daily usage. I purposely do not scroll. So I use Instagram and Facebook for its stories, and to get information out there about events and whatnot.
Right.
And
so
sometimes
what you need it for.
Yeah.
Basically.
Sometimes I put like clips of my children for like my family's engagement, but I literally don't scroll because Facebook is terrible. There's always a bunch of stuff in there that. When I look at stuff on there, I literally feel like I'm wasting my time. And with that work-life balance, trying to balance, like, because I homeschool and whatnot, like, I cannot, like, be scrolling on Facebook and Instagram.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I need to cut back with the social media.
I catch myself. I think it's good they now give you those updates on Sunday.
Yeah.
Where it's like your screen time this past week.
Yeah, for real.
It kind of it kind of like puts it in check for me.
Yeah,
You know what
seriously.
I mean? I don't usually do shit about it afterwards, but it's just like, all right, that's excessive. Like,
Yeah.
For real.
it may.
Wait, so is that an iPhone thing?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Lost.
Wow.
Sorry.
I don't have that.
Sorry.
Yeah, it'll tell you like, oh, you spent like 5
Screen
hours
time.
or whatever.
Like it's down.
Yeah.
I have a
14%,
limit set
up
on my
7.
Facebook. It goes, you've been on here for 45 minutes. And I'd be like, okay. And I still be on there.
You can do that? You can set a limit on there?
On
Like,
Facebook,
I
yeah.
think IG too.
Oh, I didn't see IG,
real?
but I know
Really?
Facebook pops up and it's like, you've been on here for 45 minutes.
Or your phone. One of them. You can
Wow.
do it.
I'm like, it
I
needs
didn't
to
know that.
turn Facebook off then, all the way. Like, don't just give me a notification because I just swipe past that thing.
Right, like just shut down
Yes,
when the
yeah.
time
That's
comes.
just my excuse for spending too much time, like the business part of it.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
it's essential tool in it's
It
the
is.
spaces
Right, it
we're
really
in,
is.
right?
Yeah.
Like I have to, but
I have to be on there.
I could also do what you do. You know what I mean? Because I
Right.
can achieve the purpose for business and
Right.
not sit there for 2 hours.
Right, and
at
just
a-
get off.
scrolling, trying to watch the videos that
Although
are
I
cool.
kind of have to stay up on the new shit for what I
Yeah,
do, so
and
that's
I
kind of
dig
like
that.
Yes,
you know,
Yeah.
that's the thing. I go through the same thing. It's crazy.
just justifying it
I
for
know,
myself.
yeah.
It's okay.
I feel you. I feel you. I'm on that.
So Jason, I just if you could, you've been engaging with us. So can you just tell us like a little bit about yourself, like where you're from,
Sure.
your childhood influences that led you into the line of work that you're in right now?
Sure. I'm from up the street for the most part, Trenton, New Jersey.
Okay.
I went to Notre Dame High School, which is right outside of Trenton in Lawrenceville. Played sports, had fun. I didn't give a shit about school. It was like the last thing on my mind growing up, honestly. And that went for a long time. I'll
Right.
get to that point. But was a C student my whole life. I just enjoyed the social part of,
Right.
being in school and playing sports.
Right, that was me.
As far as influencers, I don't know. I think it was the typical, I played, I got really good at tennis because my dad was a professional tennis instructor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So,
cool.
I played baseball for a while, but ultimately, like, by the time I went to high school, I got, exceptionally good at tennis.
Wow.
And decided to take it really seriously. So I think some of the pros that were, on the top of the game then
Yeah.
were probably people I looked up to, but it was more like I would look up to someone not because they were number one in the world, but because I would watch their work ethic,
Right.
And like I would look up to people that, like my dad was a good example. I looked up to him until, even though it took me a while to tell him that, you know what I mean? Till you grow up a bit. But I looked up to him because he grew up no high school education even, right? So to be able to take what was a skill and like he's very artistic, but as a kid growing up in Brooklyn, right? You're not going to make money painting pictures as a 14-year-old kid. You make money as an artist,
Right.
Yeah.
becoming years and years and putting paintings in studios and galleries and getting this reputation
Right,
to where
right,
you can
right.
ultimately sell a painting for, you know what I
Right.
mean? But
Yeah.
he needed to pay bills. He moved out of his house with his parents when he was 14 years old. So
Go getter.
he went to the
Whoa.
truck yards that were close to where they lived and would go up to the truckers and ask to do lettering on the side. So if like
wow.
you did, Jason's Trucking Company, hey,
Right.
can I do your sign do the sign on the side or the lettering on the side of your truck?
Right.
And he would start to earn money that way.
That's
Very
So
creative.
to like
Yeah.
come from
Yeah.
that to ultimately like we didn't grow up by any means with a lot, you know what I mean? But it was then it was as rich as we needed to be. We had
Right.
food on the
Right.
table. We lived in a decent house.
Right.
Closing
He then
that.
took on, years before this point in my life, took on the professional tennis instruction. And like, just to sum it up, he was a guy that grinded, you know what I mean? Whatever he had to do to provide for his family. And that's always been something that's been important to me and important to the people that I look up to and work with and get inspiration from. Because, it's so easy to do the other opposite. In particular,
Yes.
nowadays, the way relationships are based and, people are having kids, it's so easy to have a child and just to say, you know what, I'll see him on Christmas and it's like, that's not being a dad,
Nah,
Right.
absolutely.
So
not.
I'm glad
Right.
you said that.
I take that
Yes.
role, if not one of the most important role in my life now is raising my two little girls. And it's,
That's beautiful.
now
Yeah.
it's not even a thought. You just do it and it makes you feel good because you provide for them.
Right.
And they have a great,
Right.
great life and the things that you want for them. But
That's awesome. How old
yeah,
are they?
so I guess it would be my father to answer that
Okay.
initial question. My girls are 6 and 3 months.
Aw,
So
the baby.
we have
Wow.
it's quite a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you
Oh, I
know.
know. I did that too.
So you're up late nights right now.
I'm up late nights
Yeah.
regardless.
Oh,
kinda-
okay.
it's-
You're used to
It's
it.
kind of is helpful in terms of what I do for a living in
Right.
raising kids because it doesn't stop.
Right.
6 in the morning, I got Drake calling me on some what's the next move situation or 1:30 a.m. people are leaving the studio. Hey, this issue happened. Can we,
So you're
jump
on
on a
call,
call?
basically.
I don't always answer it.
Right.
But
you're on
it
call 'cause you
rings
may have
all the
to.
time.
Right.
Wow.
All the time.
Wow.
So I keep different hours than most people, but it's definitely amenable to child care.
Yeah.
Right.
For the baby.
Yeah. So you let mom sleep.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's
Little
good.
Let's appreciate that. I'm
Right.
telling you.
Yeah. Say that.
So your dad really explains how, where the artistic part kind of comes in at because he was
I didn't
very
get any of it
right.
in terms of what he had.
But you admired it, is what I'm getting.
For sure, and
Yeah.
I'm starting to realize that creativity isn't just having a thought and being able to paint that picture literally. Or creativity doesn't have to necessarily be, I'm going to sit down and write these 16 bars and go in that studio and
Right.
be a rapper. I
Right.
think creativity can be, come from a variety of places. And I've always said that when people in particular have referenced my father growing up, like, oh, I missed it. I don't have a creative bug. That's why I went to be a lawyer. But the more that I do in the music space, the more I realize where my creativity comes from. And it may not be how the song comes out, but how that song is introduced to the masses
Right.
could be a very creative thing, right? So
Yes.
that's why I feel like I work well with my clients. In particular, the more that I develop and as a professional and become comfortable with the bread and butter of what I get paid for, it gives me a lot more time and energy into creative aspects of being a business guy in the music space.
Wow.
I guess.
So what made you get into law? Like, where did that shift happen?
My junior year in college, I was living with my mom right outside of Trenton. I was going to college in New Jersey, which is was Trenton State. Now it's college in New Jersey.
Okay.
I got in because of my tennis, not because of my grades, right? They don't have the scholarships because they were Division III, but they had special talent slots.
Oh.
So if you were really good at sports, but your grades weren't that good, it's kind of like a,
Yeah, okay.
we'll let them, you know what I mean? We'll let them
Yeah.
slide. So I
Yeah.
got in. I did okay. Like, it was cool being in that environment for the first time.
Right.
But as my junior year, everybody's starting to, like, take an LSAT class, or everybody's starting to figure out, like, what on-the-job training looks like for when I graduate in a year and I jump into this professional line of work.
Right.
I wasn't ready for any of that. I wanted
Wow.
to drink beer. I wanted to talk
Say
to girls.
that.
I wanted to
Say that.
stay up late.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
I was not trying to get a real job.
Right.
And I had talked to my mom about it, who I had become very close with. They had gotten divorced when I was like 16, 17.
Okay.
And I went and moved with my mom, and we got really close at that point. So from that time until I kind of moved out,
Yeah.
that was, my homie, my mom, my everything.
That's awesome.
So I said, everybody's doing this, getting ready for graduation and figuring out their job. I said, I don't know if I want to do that. She goes, that's fine. I said, what do you, I'm waiting for her to bring the
That's
thunder.
right.
You know what I mean?
To go in.
She
on
said,
you.
you don't have to get a job. You don't have to go to school.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
And then she flipped it on me. She said, but if you want to continue to stay here, right? And you want to go out and do whatever you want to do, then I'll expect half of the rent every month.
Hey.
I'll expect half of the Pico bill. I'll expect half of the gas bill.
So I don't
wasn't
care
playing
how you
with you.
do it.
That
Exactly,
car
but-
insurance, because I'm like 17 years old. It's all
Yeah.
going over my head. I mean, I know she pays for a lot for
Right,
me, and I
right.
appreciated that,
Yeah.
but it wasn't until she was like, you could
Costs
pay
this
half the
much.
shit if you
That
want to
you
stay here.
realize
She
how
broke,
much. Yeah.
And I was like, and she says, but there's other options. I said, like what? She said, you can continue your education. And if you continue your education, you can stay here as long as you want. And
Yeah.
I'll continue to pay your half of the rent. And I'll continue to pay your half of. So I was like, oh, I got to stay in school, yeah. There's like zero choice now in my mind. Like,
wow.
right?
man,
Yes,
it
mom
clicked
was on
real
point.
quick. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I decided at that point that I would try to get into law school because I knew a lot of people who were doing different things and not necessarily practicing law. And I was non-committal with everything. So I was like, what can I do? But I don't have to commit to this one job if I do it. And I figured law school was a good way to learn how to think about solving problems the right way.
Okay.
Is the best way at that point of what I thought about.
Right.
And that was 100% right.
Okay.
So, long story short, because of the fuckery that I had called my educational career at that point, I applied to maybe 10 law schools, mostly Philadelphia, New York, a little bit DC, and I didn't get into any. So I was like, oh shit, this master plan, like,
It's falling through.
Might fold.
What am I
real
gonna
quick,
do?
real quick. And the last school that I had heard from sent me this letter, and it said congratulations. So I'm like, all right, I got into a school.
Wow.
I said, congratulations, you got a spot in our summer program where you can pay $1 bazillion and you can come down to Wilmington 3 nights a week, all night. Like, it was literally like 4 to 10 at night, Tuesday,
Terrible.
Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay.
And we'll admit an undefined, unspecified number of students who successfully complete this summer program into the incoming first year class.
Wow.
Oh.
So I was like, what?
Do they still do that?
They're like,
This is a lot of-
congratulations. This sounds like a punishment. Like, I got to do summer school just to get in.
Right.
I was used to doing summer school to catch up. 'Cause
Right.
I've, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I didn't have a choice, though. I did it. And it
Right.
was literally the first time in my life that I put 100% into academics.
Wow.
That I actually studied.
Right.
Wow.
I hear people about studying,
Yeah.
and I learned about, at that point, how to learn. I
Right.
realized schooling,
Right.
up until that point, they don't teach you how to learn.
No.
They
teach
feed
everyone
you
to
all
learn
this
one
bullshit
way.
to memorize. You
Yeah.
spit it
Yes.
back out. They don't care if it's
Right.
retained or
Nope.
not.
Right.
Nope.
So you're not really learning, you're memorizing.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right? And it was the
exactly.
first time through that summer process that I learned how to learn and was kind of hype about it.
Wow.
That's dope.
You know, I was
That's
excited.
dope.
Can I ask what school that was?
It was Widener University.
Do they still do that?
They do, I believe.
Wow.
They
That's
do.
know a few
that's
people that
jewel
went to
right
Widener.
there
Yeah, me
for
too.
everybody.
So
Learn how to learn.
learn how to learn.
That's
and it was
crazy.
literally
Yeah.
like I said, I've busted my ass on the tennis court. I've worked really hard to pull the girl that I wanted to pull in college, like, you know, but I had never been 100 on studying and
Right.
accomplishing something. So
But
long-
that's a good story, though. Because
is. No, it's a great
your
story.
Your story gives other people who, you know, may not have taken school so serious and maybe wanted to play around. It, like, never give up. Like, keep going.
I love that it could help other people who hear it.
Yeah.
It changed my life.
Yeah.
Not like a little bit.
Yeah.
Like as
Literally,
confident
yeah.
as I would have appeared on the outside,
Right.
I was nothing on the inside because
right.
I didn't believe in myself, and I
Wow.
thought that I was
Yes.
this average, intelligent person because I had gotten C's my whole life.
Right.
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 So when I dedicated myself to it and tried and was successful, I was like, yo, you can't tell me shit for a while.
this.
For a while. You know what I
Yo,
mean?
That's dope.
You surprised
really,
yourself.
You really could not tell me shit for
That's
a while.
super dope.
So anyway, I got in. They took 16 of 120 people. I got into the first year class. The curriculum, year one, was the exact same curriculum I had just taken the whole summer. So I was like, wait, now
Ace
the
that
smart
thing.
kids are
Wow.
in class, right? And they're like asking me questions about how to do
Right.
that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I had such a leg up. I basically took the same classes twice.
Okay.
Got, was 4th or 5th highest grades in the class. And
Nice.
That's amazing.
immediately called the dean of admissions at Rutgers, who I had kept in touch with. Because I had desperately wanted to go
Smart.
there.
Okay.
I was still technically a New Jersey resident,
Okay.
Right.
right? So the tuition was about a third of what I was paying at Widener.
Right.
That's
So you-
great.
The reputation and the ranking of the school was a decent bit higher.
Right.
And I was at that point moved to Philadelphia. So I'm like, wait a minute. I sent her my grades, and she
Wow.
said, literally within 5 minutes, nothing official. She said, unless you fail out your second semester,
You're good.
you have a spot here next
Right.
year.
Nice.
So I was like,
Wow.
all right, great. So I got in. I was paying less. It was a better school. It was right across the bridge, and like that kind of started me being in Philadelphia and ultimately becoming a lawyer. Finished at Rutgers.
That's awesome.
Went
Rutgers and Camden, right?
yeah, did what's called a clerkship. It's
Okay.
almost like a big boy internship.
Okay.
So you're an employee of the court system,
Oh, okay.
and
wow.
you work for a judge, and you learn whatever you can learn from the judge for that year. It's only a year period.
Okay.
So you kind of know that going in.
Uh-huh.
And then work-wise, you kind of about at least halfway through that year start planning for getting like a real job.
Okay.
You
Wow.
know?
I got a question for you, right? I'm
Sure.
pretty sure that a lot of people want to know the separation, right? Now, this difference between a lawyer and an entertainment lawyer. Can you give us more so of what the difference is between the
I'm
two?
gonna walk you totally through it by
Right.
explaining to you this next chapter, like in my life and my career.
Okay.
Right? So I get a job. I realized through law school and my clerkship that I wanted to be a trial lawyer, as you call it, a lawyer. Right? Suit and tie every day.
Right.
I want to be in court. It wasn't so much that I needed to be like that dude on LA Law on TV, but all of these great lawyers who were lawyers that I watched had one characteristic in common. They can convince a judge or a jury of their peers to do whatever they wanted them to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Whatever. And it was a feeling here that they made them all feel, I want to help this lawyer and his client. I want to rule in their favor.
Right.
They would ultimately always give that judge or a jury the legal pathway to do it so they could justify it in their mind. But they all had these different tools in their toolbox to get that one result.
Right.
Right? And I was like, I need to be able to do that, whatever I'm going to do for a living. And I need to figure out what my toolboxes consist of.
Okay.
What tools do I have?
Right.
Whether it's personality, whether it's dress well, whether it, all these people, these lawyers had all different things they looked to, but they were all really good at achieving that one goal. So I figured being a trial lawyer was how I would figure out my toolbox, and I jumped right into it. Tried cases for almost 8 years. I was at the same firm. I took on as much as they would give me. So I was trying jury trials 2-3 years out of law school.
Wow.
Winning cases, multi-million-dollar verdicts, right?
Oh, wow.
Everything was like according to plan.
Wow.
And I'll never forget it. I won this case where we represented a defendant, and it was weeks of preparing for trial. And the 2 days before trial, I slept at the law firm I was working at on the floor, just because it was so intense, right? And he was being sued for like $9 million, and we got a defense verdict, and the plaintiff was awarded nothing. And we went back to the office. I'm like on cloud nine, right? On the walk back from City Hall to the office that I was working at in Philadelphia. And I'm expecting, we walk into the conference room with champagne. I'm waiting for this, right?
Yeah,
Because that's how I felt like I just did.
Yeah, of course.
The client is sitting across the room all pissed off.
Really?
So I said, "What? We just won this major case. This is years of your life. We put into this all of our lives.
Right.
Like, what's the problem?"
Right.
Well, I'm glad we won. He didn't have a case anyway. I've been telling you guys that for 3 years, and now I got a $100,000 legal bill. What am I supposed to do with that?
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, yo. So I left that night and I rode the L home, and I'll never forget this train ride. I said, I got to figure out something else to do with my life, because I couldn't put all that into being a lawyer. And it's not so much I ever need the pat on the back, but I need to feel like
Appreciate
good
it.
about myself that
Of
I
course.
accomplished something at the end of a
Gratitude
long-ass
is
day,
important.
month, year, whatever.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
yes.
Because you didn't feel appreciated at that time.
At that
for
time. So it was
all
like,
that
what did I
hard work,
really
yeah.
accomplish?
Yeah.
Right.
I
right.
won this case, which was, I guess, from a court perspective, good.
Yeah.
But I still have my client who's upset
not
with the whole
happy.
outcome.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just not. It was a lose
Like, we
lose for
saved
me.
you.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
100,000 though. I'd have been mad too.
Listen. So I figured I got to switch gears because I would have gotten. I wasn't like burnt at that point, but I felt it coming,
Right. Right.
and I didn't want to completely start something new because I had spent a ton of time
Of course.
in law school
Right.
and
Right.
learning how to be a lawyer, which
Yeah.
wasn't just the skills of what it took to get things done in the courtroom. You know what I mean? The problem solving stuff I talked about earlier, and relationships and dealing with people in a business, like all that came with it. And all those were valuable lessons that I thought I would still want to use.
Right.
Just do something different.
Right.
And I've always had something with music. I played instruments as a kid. When I grew up in Trenton, I grew up in a very diverse neighborhood. Most of my friends weren't in rock bands. They were rappers or R&B singers or beat makers or what, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I saw a problem back then that bands had a place to play in Trenton. Hip hop and R&B, very few, and it was mostly because it was so it was such a dangerous town at the time, and there was so much gang activity that any venue owner was like, I don't want any of it.
Right.
Oh, near
And when
me.
they equate urban music or rap music
Right.
to gang shit
Yeah.
and the murders you see on the street every night,
Right.
they're like, I'm not gonna touch
Stay
this.
away.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it was around that time that I was still partying like a lot and going up to New York and seeing how they would do it with 5,000 kids in a room. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And do
Yeah.
it safe.
Yeah.
So I went back to some of these in high school and early college and went to some of these owners and I said, listen, you should and can have this music here in a safe way. You can make money and I'll show you how.
There
Right?
you
And I wouldn't
go.
even like charge them. I just wanted my homies to have a place to
get
Of
there.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
we
cool.
would, you know, so like that, those kinds of things were my experiences up until that point in the music business. But it was always stuff for me that, as I look back now in particular, that didn't feel like work.
Right.
Opening those doors never felt like work
Right,
to me,
right.
even though
Because it was in
if you break down the specific steps I was taking to achieve
Right.
a result, it was work.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm putting my guys on.
Of
Right.
course.
And that means we're all on.
Yes.
Right? And then, you know, those evenings in the club were kind of lit.
Yeah.
So-
So that's dope.
So speaking of your guys, what artists have you worked with or are you currently working with?
Yeah,
if you don't mind?
none of them back then.
Right,
They're
right.
they're all, you know, doctors,
Really?
car
Wow.
mechanics. Yeah, I'm saying it's just wide variety from the high school days.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna get there.
Okay.
I promise.
Okay.
And I'm gonna fast forward this last piece, but it's important. So I said, music, I got to figure this out. So I read every book. I looked at every video. I went to every continuing legal education class. I called every lawyer who called themselves an entertainment lawyer, offered to take them to lunch anywhere in town, just to pick their brain for an hour.
Keys.
So
The keys.
I started learning the substantive issues, and I would do volunteer work, so pro bono work for
Okay.
free,
Yeah.
and just to cut my teeth on it.
Right.
I got a couple clients early on, and I was kind of doing both for a while. I would say fast forward to about 3 years ago, I came to a firm that believed in what I had achieved up till that point and kind of saw the vision as I explained it. And it was like the first time that I was able to put 100% of my time professionally into the entertainment work.
Wow.
And 3 years later, we have a top entertainment and new media practice group at the law firm that I work at.
Right.
In the country, not just like in
Amazing.
Philadelphia.
Oh, wow. Really?
So we've
That's
grown from
amazing.
just myself with like a half of a caseload to 2 lawyers that work exclusively on our stuff, another
Wow.
lawyer that splits their time,
Okay.
a paralegal, and an assistant. So we're like our own little law firm within a law firm.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
And it's been great. So to answer that question, you know, I started out with a couple guys that I still work with. The guy Chill Moody, who we had talked about
okay.
earlier.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Shout out
I've-
to Chill.
I was probably Chill's first lawyer, and you know that's developed
Wow.
into business partners on a lot of things that he has
Right.
his hands in, and you know that's Uncle Chill to my kids. So our personal
cute.
relate. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
one of my best friends. To now guys that I get because of the reputation and the good work that we do.
Right.
Not that I had started out here and grew with them. So
Right.
you know most of the urban music, the hip hop, the R&B that comes out of Philadelphia, we touch it somehow.
Really? Wow.
So in terms of artists, PNB Rock, we've worked
Oh,
with.
okay.
We work with Brashear Gray, who's Yaz on
Oh, that's
Empire.
Empire.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's fun.
Troy Boy, who's a fairly
Yeah.
big EDM artist. There's some of the bigger names. A lot of the producers and people that work with Meek and those guys closely. Uzi, the same situation. So really anything that has a relationship to Philadelphia,
You got your
Wow.
hands.
we have our hands in it
Nice.
That's
somehow,
cool.
some way. You know.
Now, did you find that switch into entertainment law, was it a big switch for you? I know you said you were like picking people's brains. Was it a big switch?
It was a huge switch because
Okay.
it was going from what's called litigation to where you're in court,
Right.
filing things, writing briefs,
Right.
to I don't do that at all now.
Oh.
It's all transactional. So all that I do now is deals, which is
Okay.
basically contracts.
Okay.
So
Okay.
negotiating contracts, reviewing, drafting, revising.
Right.
Okay.
And that could look like a record deal. So we do every week we're doing deals now, fortunately, with
Yes.
with our clients and major record labels,
Great.
major publishers, same kind of
Right.
deal. It could look like an influencer contract. That's pretty big now. You know, where a company will try to tag somebody has a big following, tap into their
Okay.
demographic. There's always contracts that come with that.
Okay.
You know, after doing it for some period of time now, the thing that I really love about it is the relationship nature of the business.
Yeah.
Right? The fact that I'll be sitting in my bed at 11:30 or midnight texting like the president of a major record company
Wow.
to
That's
try
so
to like
cool.
get the last few terms of a deal ironed out so
Right.
that the next morning we can go in and tell the lawyers
and
like
be
let's-
ready, yeah.
like that. To me, sometimes I still pinch myself doing this because that's, you know,
You
that's
love
Right,
it.
right.
that's, and it's great to be able to accomplish business that way,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And it takes years
Definitely.
and multiple deals of doing business with these people before the lines really open up.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And when the lines do open up, all that hard work pays off because you can get so much more done with such little effort.
Right.
Where it used to take 3, 4, 5 meetings
Wow.
to court, you know, a record company, or now a lot of times, you know, artists, some things don't change. So
Right.
the artist has to have it all. The
Yeah.
music has to be, you know,
Profound, yeah.
top notch. But
Now, I have another question, right?
Yeah, sure.
I'm an artist myself.
cool.
So, just speaking for all the artists out there, how vital is it for you as an artist to have an entertainment lawyer? Why do I need to have an entertainment lawyer? Like, what role do you play in the artist's career?
At some point, essential.
Okay.
Like, you will not function very long without one.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that with the caveat, if like your manager is what we call a recovering lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've managed some artists, right?
Okay.
So if I fell back from my law practice and started managing artists, me and that artist can probably get away for a good period of time without hiring a lawyer because someone on the team has that experience. You know
Okay.
what I mean? But at some point, I mean, I would, any kind of agreement that's worth more than $1,000, I would suggest you have somebody who's legally trained help you with it.
Okay, so basically you're basically helping me iron out whatever type of deal or transaction, anything that has to do with money higher.
Yeah,
than
you need
something
the
small.
contract has to reflect the deal, number one, right? But
Right.
if you don't have a understanding as an artist of what the market value of a particular deal is, that's a big part of it. I can read that contract to you till you're sick, right? But if you don't know that 20% is a good number, or if it should be 50 because you're not familiar with the market, that's perhaps a bigger value that I'll add.
Right.
Again, because I'm doing these deals on a daily or weekly basis. So if I see a kid come and somebody comes for me for advice and has some interest from a record company, then maybe there's an offer. I can look at a handful of things to know if that offer is market value. And it's pretty shitty how the state of the business,
Yeah.
because that's not what it should be about, right? It should be about the music, the person,
course,
Right,
of
exactly.
course,
the
of
hustler
course.
in that person.
Exactly.
Yes.
But at least initially, to get somebody in the door, it's about the views, the likes, the streams.
Of course.
That's-
Right,
yeah, that's
right.
Especially these
that's-
days.
Yeah.
That was
It's-
one of the issues that I was running across because I was supposed to, back in 2016, I was supposed to get a deal with Universal Records, but I didn't take it because it was too many people. I don't think I had the right representation. By me being young and kind of like turned off
Right.
from what you hear from other people about record companies and how they treat you, I didn't get the right feeling about it. Was I wrong for not like stepping in that room without proper representation at that time?
Maybe not stepping in, but you were probably should have consulted a professional.
Okay.
And again, I'm not wedded to the fact that has to be an attorney. There's people in this business that get it, like understand what these deals are worth, and
Right.
that's why I'll clarify that it doesn't need to be a lawyer, but you really need someone who understands these agreements and what like your bargaining power would be as an artist.
Okay.
And then I think that to finalize that answer, at least how I do business, the value that I bring is far beyond reviewing and advising somebody on a contract. Right?
Right.
I think like I don't want to use Chill as you know him, so I'll use him as an example. And he has relationships, like crazy relationships, right? A lot of them are in the creative space.
Right.
So if it's an idea and we want to get this idea executed, we'll talk about it. And a lot of times on the business stuff, that's a phone call or a text for me. You know what I mean? So again, I'm just making a point of like, you want an entertainment lawyer, obviously, to advise you on contractual things and risk and all that stuff. But a good entertainment lawyer, a good music lawyer, you want them because of their relationships.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think that's what the music business is built upon anyway.
Yeah.
About
Right.
having relationships.
Right. Right.
And to avoid some of those pitfalls, because you hear all over the place that these people who sign some of these deals, I hear about the 360 deal and people dying to get out of their contract. It was a girl she was signed to Gucci Man, and she just got out of her contract. And then Fetty Wap, he was trying to get out of his contract. And Lil Wayne, Lil Uzi Vert. I mean, the list goes on and on. So I would think that an entertainment lawyer would have a part to play, a good one anyway, in helping to protect against some of that too.
Some of it, sure, but the bigger names that you mentioned that we've heard over the years have had contract disputes with the labels, they all had lawyers going into those. They had lawyers before those deals were signed.
Right.
The thing that's tough with and why these disputes happen is when you enter into a contract like that, it's for usually a fairly long period of time, right?
Right.
And you usually can look at the number of albums, for example, or a term of years, right? So while that deal may have been fair and all the lawyers around the table when they signed it said, this is great, let's get it,
Right.
okay? Things change.
Right.
course,
So later
yeah.
on,
Right.
'cause
So
they
guess what?
appreciate it.
I bet you
Right.
Uzi was hype as shit when he got that deal.
Yeah, for sure.
When he was nobody
Right.
before the Carnage record
Right.
dropped, and he was,
Right.
a little rock star running around Philadelphia in my
Right.
guy Mike Jers's studio. Shout out Mike Jers,
Oh, I know Mike Jers.
who's in LA now.
Yeah,
I met Uzi at Mike Jers's studio.
Really?
But here's
He's actually
what's
a friend of
funny on a completely side note. Uzi's always been a fucking rock star. When he was nobody, when he didn't have the fame, the Instagram followers, he still had that mentality.
Right.
Right.
Like, and I'll never forget, like, the few times that I met him and hung out at Mike's studio where it was like, this kid's a rock star. And then I saw him perform and I was like, oh my God. Like, he always had in him what now
Right,
has
right.
been brought out and we all know as this legitimate
Yeah,
rock star. In his
right.
mind, he's been that
He's
since
always been that.
Francisville.
Forever.
Right.
Yeah.
That's dope.
So, yeah, the thing, people develop, hit records come.
But how do you avoid that? I mean, what's your opinion on that? Are these deals really, are they truly, like, for example,
You
Mace,
just renegotiate it.
so you think you have to, but why does it seem like they're stuck? Like, for example, Mace came out, he posted that whole, it was like a 3-page message to how Diddy basically raped him and beat him for his money and took advantage of him being a kid, and, I was there for you, I was your friend, I did this, and you paid $20,000 for the rights to my music. I offered you $2 million, and you still you have all my music until I'm 50 years old.
Right.
So like when stuff like that happens, like how does that happen? Like,
You don't air it out in the media, is usually my first piece
Right.
of advice.
Right.
And we're dealing with something now very recently that we've all seen over the last couple days where it's just not necessary, right? In particular with those two, they're both in a spot that doesn't need to come out in public.
Right. They could talk
absolutely.
about that in
Yeah.
private.
And then
Right.
unfortunately it did because they bumped into each other, right?
oh, did they? I didn't know
and
that.
that was the first of it where someone had videotaped them kind of going back and forth. But since then, they've been all over Twitter with each other.
Right.
And like, they're both at a point where that's going to bring them down in their
Right.
career.
And not up,
regardless
yeah.
of what's said, who's right, who's wrong. So,
Right.
like, don't do it. So I'm always, business is business.
Yes.
And I think a lot of times this gets blurred because, in particular, in what we do, business relationships become personal.
They
You know,
can,
like
yes.
like I was just saying,
Definitely.
like Chill was a client at first. He's one of my best friends now.
Right.
I'm friends with a lot of the people that I work with, and I
Exactly.
think it's just because of what we do and the nature of the music industry, it lends itself to that. You know,
Yeah, and you want the
But-
best for them.
and that's why people, I think, take that route because there's a lot of emotion
Right,
and
they're
personal.
hurt.
When
Of course.
when if it was just business, right? You can keep things there, and I'll call a lawyer, I'll call my accountant, we'll deal with that. But
Right.
when this is your friend that you thought,
Right.
and there's business involved, and you think one side's wrong or the other
course.
side's wrong, it becomes a lot more personal. And I think that's
course.
when people make, quick decisions and maybe not the best ones, and
Yeah.
post this and do that.
But do you think that they're ever like being taken advantage of, or do you think I've heard some
Absolutely.
people like Leo or Cohen? Some people just said like that's the nature of the business. Those are the kind of deals that are being done, and you can't really.
The companies that are on the other side of it,
Uh-huh.
it's about bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about being a nice guy.
Right.
No.
It's
Of
not
course.
about it, with the exception of a few labels that really pride themselves on
Right.
being artist 1st.
Mm-hmm.
They have board of directors to report to.
Right.
They got quarterly earnings statements they got to justify. You know what I mean? It's a business.
Right.
So like, it's so personal on the artist side in particular because it's this craft. You know what I mean? This is your world
Yeah.
to be able to play or an instrument or sing, and like, but to those companies, it's
Business.
business.
Right.
So I see it on both sides.
Yeah.
I appreciate that they also have jobs to do
Right.
and they have bottom lines. And that's why I think most of them, when the circumstances do change, are willing to sit down and to do what's at least a little more fair.
Right.
I'm not going to ever say, like,
Totally.
you're going to have an artist and in particular a major record label on even footing,
Right.
you know.
Right.
But they also want their artist happy, because an happy artist is going to give you the best product.
Right.
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 It's going to
Exactly, yeah.
put in the most effort.
Right.
It's going to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a lot of times when I'll represent an artist that's, let's say, negotiating with a major record label, and the lowest I can get them is 4 albums or 5 albums. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be an artist's whole career.
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
For real.
And
Or a
I
big
say to
portion.
people, don't get so hung up on that. It's important. And as part of the negotiation, I'm going to try to get them as few albums as possible.
Okay.
But
Right.
if they come back and they say, hey, I'll give you the money, for example, that you want in your pocket on the first album, but we need that 4 album commitment in the deal, don't get hung up about it. Because if things go crazy on the first album, you will sit on the couch literally until they come back to the table and renegotiate this deal.
There you
That's
go.
the thing
There
that
Because you
go.
always
can't
got
ever
me,
force
yeah.
somebody. You can't
Right.
force somebody in there,
No, you can't.
right?
There you go.
Those contracts are burdensome as fuck. But you cannot force a grown ass man
Right.
to work
Yes.
anymore,
Right.
Yeah.
right?
And with
So-
a lawyer like you, they can branch into other things. They don't have to do the music.
If you have that celebrity, sure. So I'll tell them to sit on the fucking couch until this company gets realistic and gives you something that is worth your value now.
Right.
Right.
You know?
There you go. That's
And
smart.
the company will do it because the artist will sit too long and the buzz will wear off, and they're scared of that, right?
Of course. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, they want an artist that's going out on tour happy, not an artist like some of the recent folks you've seen. Fuck my label. Interscope can, suck
Right.
my label.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
Yeah.
not good. It's not good for business when
Of
you got an
course.
artist, regardless of how many albums you have him signed and committed to. If he's on, Instagram every day and not good.
So do your artists like you get to do fun things with them and go on like tour maybe, or like do they get to drag you out for things?
I've probably done everything
Nice.
and played every role.
Okay.
I think that's another thing that makes me a little different, right?
Okay.
If I got to carry a speaker one night, I'll carry a speaker.
That's
If I got to
dope.
run and get the crew food, I run it. You know what I
That's
mean?
dope. Okay.
For a very select few.
Of course. Of course.
Now, anyway.
Yeah. I'm sure you're
But
busy.
when I first started and didn't have the workload business-wise to keep my plate full, if I had an opportunity to get a client on a tour, and I would go out for 2 or 3 days to make sure things were running smoothly and they were comfortable. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
And some of it is a lot of fun.
yeah,
I mean,
I'm sure.
same deal going back to, pinching myself every once in a while. Like,
Yeah.
to be able to take my mother to the Grammy Awards
Ooh.
was pretty special.
That's awesome.
That's like a
Is
few
that
times.
one of the coolest
what's
things
up.
you've done?
That trip, yeah.
Wow.
That's
You know?
awesome.
And it's
Wow.
like, there's just stuff along the way all the time. I'm not good at what we talked about earlier, is living in the moment.
Yeah.
So I kind of like enjoy those things, and I'm off to the next.
Next thing, yeah.
Ready for more.
I also think too that makes a good professional, regardless of what you do.
Yeah, never stay idle.
Don't get so excited about one in particular thing,
Yeah.
right? Like, it drives
Yeah.
me nuts when I scroll IG multiple hours a day, as we were talking before we jumped on, and I see these younger generation have some success, maybe get a record deal, and the minute that deal is signed, they're taking pictures in front of the sign at Atlantic Records celebrating.
I heard that's a
I
that's
agree.
a what's it called? It's a facade. I heard they really it's going around. This is the type of stuff that they doing. They're really paying people to go in front of the label, in front of the sign, just to take a picture and say that they were there, in order to promote themselves.
Why? Oh, the label to promote.
Yeah,
yourself?
like no, like all right. Say this is the type of stuff that's going on right now. Say if I'm an artist, right, and I have a quote unquote meeting with let's say Interscope Records, they're really not paying to get into the room to actually really set up a situation. They're paying just to sit in front of the sign and take a
Wow.
picture
Right.
in front of the label, not making no move.
That's almost as bad as a rapper not writing your raps.
Yeah, that's
It's all fake, right?
It's crazy
Yeah,
because
it is.
Now,
it's like the hustle.
here's where
now.
I've done it. Here's where I've done that, and I've told people to go do it. If I know there's multiple labels involved, right, and nobody will give us the offer we want because nobody thinks that the label across the street has made an offer yet, I'll tell a guy to go take a picture in front of the building
There you go.
because people
That's
are
smart.
watching from the label that I really
Of
want to do
course,
business
yeah.
with.
Right.
And they say, "Oh shit, he was at Def Jam this afternoon. Let's make the offer so we don't lose this deal."
Right, that makes sense.
So I'll use it like
Yeah.
that strategically, but generally, you're right. People do it for the appearance,
Right.
Yeah.
and it's so corny from a business level. Because think about this, right? In particular, this market we're in is small. We're a big city, but everybody knows each other, right?
Seems that
The
way.
producers
is
produce
facts.
for everybody. Like the guys that are
Yes.
popping, and there's a handful of them. So
Right.
these guys don't get it. Two main reasons I tell people: go sign the deal, don't post shit, right? And it's hard because you're
Be
excited.
excited,
That's a
like-
big moment for an artist,
Yeah.
right? You're excited. You wanna.
Yeah.
That's something
Tell
that
everyone.
normally you would put
Of
right
course,
up.
of
right?
course,
Good
of
things
course.
that happen to you, you post them.
Yeah,
So open sharing
of
that,
course.
right? Two reasons why you don't do it. Okay, number one, now you're a signed artist, and now you have a budget that comes with being a signed artist. So that producer who you were just working with 2
Oh,
weeks
yeah.
ago,
Want more money?
who gave you that beat for $250, right?
Exactly.
Now knows that
Exactly.
you got Columbia Records budget behind you,
Okay.
and guess what? Now it's 25,000,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
I'm making an
yeah.
exaggeration,
Yeah,
but
right.
listen, every single artist, I've warned them about it. They don't all follow my advice, and the ones who don't get taxed every time.
Keys right here.
Every
Yes.
time
Yeah.
you're
Keys
gonna
to success right there.
you're
That's
gonna
good.
you're gonna get taxed
Yeah.
because people now know that you got a bag behind you.
Right.
You know?
And it's not even in entertainment. It's like wherever you from in your hood. Like now they see you getting signed. They think you got a bag, but
Right,
you don't
they
even
want a
have
piece.
one.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
so now you got family members. You got people that
You're also
your
potentially
cousins,
a target,
Exactly.
depending
That's
on
what
where
I'm saying.
you
That's
got
what
a
I'm
target
getting
on
at.
your
Yeah.
back.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You know?
Yep.
It's
You've
crazy.
True.
grown up humble every once in a while, you know what I mean? Christmas comes, you get a nice fresh pair of kicks, whatever, but like you go post that deal and now you got some $2,500 sneakers on the block.
They like
Yeah, for real.
You
like,
know?
nah,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
gets
It's
hectic.
crazy.
Yeah.
So the second reason too is that's a big moment, like I said, for anybody's career. Any artist, you sign to a big company, that's a big deal, right? So you might as well broadcast that when you have as many eyes on you as possible, Not before the label gets you hot, or not before the
Right.
label spends that money to get you hot, or to
Right.
create a hit record, or to market a record the right way, or go to radio. Let them spend that money. Let them get 100,000 more eyes on you, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Then you make this announcement, hey, I'm here, I signed with
Right.
so-and-so, right?
Right.
'Cause that's a
Right.
big moment, so make the most of it. You just
okay.
got signed, they signed you early, you got, artists got a little 10, 15,000 followers, and they make that announcement where 6 months of doing things the right way, they may have 250,000 people following them. Then make it,
Right.
Wow.
then make that announcement and
Yeah.
Right.
get the most out of it.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Rather than to your few
Right.
people who've been following you from day one anyway.
Right. Keys.
Right.
I like that.
Strategy.
So
So-
before we get out of here, I want to know, what is your definition of success?
Ooh, it's all relative. And it's up to whoever's answering that question.
Well, for you.
Becoming a decent person. Years of doing things not the right way, I think makes that important for me. And doing things the right way and gaining a reputation of being a straight shooter, no bullshit, 100% honest, above board on everything I do. It's not easy in doing what we do.
Right.
In particular, there's things I could bend my rules that govern what I do as a lawyer and go get a bag here and go. I have to keep everything at a highest level of integrity because that's why people rock with me.
Right.
Right.
Success is what I do every day. There's no, for me, it's no, I need to have this amount in the bank. I need to live in this kind of house. I need to drive this kind of car.
Okay.
It's the fact that I'm healthy and the people that I care about the most are healthy. It's the fact that I do all right and enjoy life. Would I enjoy life more if I lived at the Four Seasons and went to the spa every day? Maybe, but I don't. To me, that's not that important.
Right.
Right.
To be able to wake up and to have the essential things that make my day enjoyable,
Yeah.
Right.
I'm fulfilled.
Happy.
I'm
amazing.
rich,
Happy.
notwithstanding the lack of zeros in the account to
I like
show
that.
Say that.
right? And I love what I do.
Yeah.
That's
a key.
amazing.
I love being able to help people make a career out of what was a dream or what was
Yeah.
a hobby maybe. And to
Okay.
be able to add a little bit of value or to help navigate,
Right.
let an artist or a producer or somebody creative navigate and take a set of skills and then make a living out of it and sometimes not only feed their kids but their kids' from it.
Right.
There you
That's-
go. Legacy.
Rewarding. Yeah.
That's special.
Right.
Great.
And that's why I've moved into other things like teaching at Drexel. I really enjoy that. And that's the
cool.
next generation and I want to,
Yes.
having
Impart
all
that into them.
having all the, it's almost like therapy too for me. It's not good to have all this shit stuck up in my
yes,
head,
yes.
You
you know?
want to get it out.
I want to
Yes.
teach
Yeah.
the next generation
Yeah.
and it's already paid. It makes, perfect
Right.
sense. Some
Right.
of these
Of course.
kids are my clients who've graduated in just
Yeah.
a short time.
Wow.
Wow.
The
That's
stuff I
awesome.
do with the Recording Academy, same deal. Like
Okay.
I'm fortunate and I feel successful just getting up and doing what I do every day. So to kind of help people understand that and maybe give them the impression that they can do the same thing for like the next generation of
That's awesome.
music folks.
That is awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
So I know you do a lot of panel discussions. So before you leave, where can people check you out at? How can they?
Anywhere.
Different.
Again, the law firm that we have, our practice group is Margolis Edelstein. Our website has all the information about all the lawyers that work in our group. All my social media is at JBERGESQ. There's mostly my kids, but every once in a while, some of the wins get
Right,
posted. Yeah, that's it.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here.
I
Yeah,
appreciate you
thank
guys
you.
for having me.
Yes,
Thank
of course.
you.
I appreciate your time. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
being here, for sure.
Jason Berger, everybody. Thank you.
Yes. So we'll see y'all. Thanks, Ace, for letting us be here. And
Shout out to Ace.
Yes, Ace of Spades Stu. And this is the More For You podcast. Giving more for you, y'all. Peace.
We out.
Have a good one.